Good catch. Hey everyone, I'm back on the live stream again. And so I'm looking forward to having a good discussion with you today, myself and Captain Holly Weaver and Captain Takara Linton. I hope you enjoyed today's discussion. And without further ado, let's go ahead and add on our two co-hosts. Hey y'all, what's going on?
Hello, hello.
Hey Otis, hey Takara, how's it going?
It's going well. It's going well. I think today will be a really good discussion because we had the opportunity to chat beforehand with the two individuals that will be joining us today, Lieutenant Melissa Murray and Dr. Laura Taylor. She is a professor, I believe, in the uniform, military health science. She's a nursing. Well, you know what? I'm not even going to go into the titles. You're going to be the ones to share that information with us. So I'm thankful to have you both today. And before we actually get into the discussion with our guests, go ahead and share with us some good information, some good recruiting information, of course, to all of our viewers that are joining us today. Captain Weaver.
Awesome. Well, Otis, thank you so much again for helping us co-host. And, it's always a pleasure to work together. And basically, we are here to showcase all of the awesome things within Army medicine. And we're here to motivate and inspire those out there watching that are not yet a part of Army medicine to join us. And we also want to, inspire our own, everyone that's currently serving as an Army nurse or Army doctor, and just check out the amazing things that are happening within Army medicine. So if you have any questions, need any further information, please feel free to reach out to me at one of the following ways below: text, email, Instagram, LinkedIn. Just reach out and I will get you the information that you need or put you in the right direction.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So thank you for sharing that. And of course, we've got Captain Takara Linton. What's going on?
Hello.
Hey, ma'am, how are you?
I am fantastic. Happy to be able to join you all tonight. I think it'll be a fun conversation.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. And I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and add on our guest today. I like this backdrop. It's so different than my normal backdrop.
Only thing missing is maybe a coffee mug and a book. And then
that's what I was thinking, a coffee mug.
Well, you know what? I've got a McDonald's cup, but I'm not officially endorsed by them. So that maybe that counts today. I've got some books hanging around somewhere. So yeah, we will.
I'm digging the background and the soft lighting in the back.
Maybe we'll add that for the next one. How about that? So
sounds good.
Without further ado, I'd like to first add on to our discussion today, Lieutenant Melissa Murray. What's going on, ma'am? Oh, you're mute. You're mute. You're mute. Go ahead and unmute yourself. Bam.
That's a little interview faux pas, isn't that? Good evening. How are you, sir?
We're doing good. Thank you. Thank you for joining us in our discussion today. And I guess the woman of the moment that we're trying to add on to our live stream, Professor Laura Taylor. Hey, ma'am. How are you?
Well, good evening, Otis and team. I am quite well. I think, Otis, you need Hoda and Lester Holt. That would just complement your background perfectly.
maybe that may be my end goal. That's a goal that I could put out there and have it manifest hopefully in this world. How about that?
Got some smooth moves there. We got that.
There you go. There you go. Well, ma'am, I appreciate you joining us in our discussion today. Of course, Melissa Murray, we appreciate you. Lieutenant Melissa Murray, we appreciate you joining us as well. And that's, of course, my co-host, as always, Captain Holly Weaver and Captain Takara Linton. So I guess let's kind of go into our discussion today. Captain Weaver, you want to start us off with our discussion today?
First, Otis, I think I would love to hear Dr. Taylor just give us a little bit of her background, tell us about her story a little bit as a nurse, and then introduce us into this program that we are here to hear about today, the Ready to Launch program.
Hey, good evening. Thank you so much, Captain Weaver. So, team, my name is Laura Taylor. I'm a professor at the Uniformed Services University, and I come from an extensive background of education over 30 years, and my real claim to current fame tends to be my passion for guiding and mentoring younger nurses more at the beginning of their career as they move toward achieving that professional, personal, and military career advancement that I know you're seeking out there. And the world is so big and vast, and the decisions are very broad. So, back in the early 2010s or so, I received a small grant at a different university to build a program to really help and support nurses on this journey. So in 2014, when I joined the Uniformed Services University, I myself am an Army brat. I have not served, so thank you all for your service. My father taught at USU in the dental school, and I remember visiting him and going there with him. And Walter Reed, I had many stitches at the old Walter Reed on 16th. And so when I walked on that campus, when I was considering a new platform, a new vision for what I wanted to give back to nursing, it just fell right into place. So serving the nation, and serving nursing, it can't get too much better than that. Wow. But as I've gone through at USIS, I am a professor. I teach across many areas, pathophysiology and nursing informatics and wellness and battlefield acupuncture, quite an umbrella of different courses that I teach. And my passion here continues to be guiding, again, younger officers who are looking to make that decision. So the Ready to Launch program was established to serve across the services, because at the Graduate School of Nursing, we are tri-service and include public health service. And we serve nurses from all branches. And I felt so passionate about giving these nurses the tools to align that next educational step with their military career goals, their leadership, their professional and their personal goals, and where they see themselves. And if you do that right, and if you do that well, it's like magic at the end of the road. So that is the Ready to Launch program. Is that good?
Sounds pretty good, ma'am. Okay. Well, let's see. Captain Linson, do you want to go ahead and, I guess, ask some questions or maybe share a point?
So I do really like the concept of the Ready to Launch program. And it seems very similar to me, somewhat like the CNTP program that was initiated in the Army. Is it somewhat similar to that, or is it somewhat different to that, Dr. Taylor? Are you familiar with the CNTP?
No, please let me tell me a little bit more, because I see collaboration. If I am total, if we've got similarities, I say we join forces. So what have you got there?
So it's the Clinical Nurse Transition Program. And I was introduced to it once I, of course, became a new nurse. And we link up with the education department in our hospital, and they basically kind of walk us from point A to B as far as our patient care. Even we have charge nurse courses that we took as well. And we were basically under strict supervision for about the first 6 months of our nursing experience. We were linked up with a mentor, and then we would meet up once a week or so and get with our supervisors in the education division. We would have journal entries to say, well, this is went well, this is what didn't go well, this is what I'm really struggling with, this is what I really need help with. And I thought it was such a great transition for me, although I was already an LPN prior to, but it was still a very good transition, just with me now stepping then into the registered nursing realm and also into the officer realm of nursing.
So that sounds like a very perfect novice mentoring, getting established as a nurse. What does it mean to be a nurse? Learning how to navigate the world of nursing and military healthcare. So that's my program absolutely is similar, but for that next level of doctoral choices, graduate choices, and how to look at the future of what those advanced degrees will bring and how do they align with how you see your future. So I feel that it's a similar type of mentoring, because I heard that word. It's a similar type of mentoring, but it's more giving. And, you know, Lieutenant Murray is online, and she might be able to also, when she comes to call here, share a little bit of the difference there. But it gives those nurses the tools to and a structure to consider when you know that your leadership to get promoted will demand the next level of education. And there's so many choices out there. And so we don't have a one-on-one kind of mentoring designated program, though anybody who has been in the Ready to Launch program, they have access to me forever because I will be at USU. And I do get follow-up emails regarding particular questions about programs, about actions, about professional activities being requested, etc. But there's not a direct, warm mentoring program. You're like a complement to each person who participates in the Ready to Launch program. But it is, if I'm hearing you correctly, Captain, it is very similar. Yes.
Thank you for that. Yes. So it sounds like it's the next step up. So it sounds like clinical nurse transition would be first. Then you get your feet wet, you get experience, then you figure out, okay, this might be the area that I want to go into. And then Ready to Launch would essentially be the next phase of that.
Oh, you got it. That's it. Because, you know, I look at nurses, baccalaureate nurses, brand new nurses, kind of like pluripotent stem cells, right? You don't know what way we're going to go. Hey, you could go to oncology, you could go to ortho, you could go to transplant, which is my background. I do kidney transplant. You could do informatics, you can do recruiting, you could be faculty. We don't know where you're going to go. But once, and frequently, before you even go to graduate school and make that decision, you've tried a few different hats, right? You've done a little ICU, you've done a little peds, you've done a little OB, and you've kind of gotten a little taste as you've gone through your early career, establishing what nursing is to you. How do you contribute to this art and science of healthcare? And then you're like, you know what? I know I'm ready. I can make a difference. I see a problem and I can see a contribution. And the way to do that is with a graduate degree. How do I make that happen? How do I learn the tools, the science, the theory behind crafting an innovative project that will advance the care I am giving? Build a systems improvement mechanism. And so I think those are great programs. And in fact, what I'm going to have to do is make sure I find the folks who work that program and let's see what we can build together, because I think it sounds like we are complementing each other just at different phases of our career.
So I just want to go ahead and throw this out there that this is probably the Ready to Launch program is something that both Captain Linson and I would have benefited before we started graduate programs, because both her and I are working on our master's degree right now.
Yes. And that's, I hear you on that. It's something that everybody's moving. Your friends are going to school, and you hear the scuttlebutt that you need a DNP or you need a NP and a DNP, and you're like, well, let's just get on the bus. Well, you want to make sure you know where that bus is going. And is it the right bus for you? And do you like the other kids on the bus, right? So that's the kind of, you're right. And we don't always take enough time, Captain Weaver, to consider that. And in my experience, and it is long, okay, days of the flood, I'm totally there. But I find that folks spend more time picking out a vacuum cleaner. Right? They'll go to Consumer Reports, and then they'll go to Yelp, and then they'll go to Amazon, and they'll read 700 reviews. And But for doctoral education, right? Well, I heard Captain Weaver's going to said, I'm just going to put my application in. She likes it, I'll like it. Au contraire, not going to happen. So that you're spot on. And this has just been wonderful, because I need to, and thank all of you for allowing me to share this program that the GSN offers. And the way you all found me was this year, because of COVID, right? Out of necessity breeds innovation. This program usually is a face-to-face workshop. And what we've done this year is, because of Major Martina Taylor Campbell, who I believe has just earned her DNP. She found me on LinkedIn, and we know each other from USU, and we built an online community of practice for the Ready to Launch program. And I gave a 5-hour program for nurses at Tripler and up and down the West Coast back in October. And thank you, Major Taylor Campbell, TC, for writing us up and putting us into the newsletter. And then Colonel Flynn found us. So it's the way to really let you all know there's a mentor out there who is willing and just can't wait to hear your story and help you think that decision through.
That's awesome, ma'am. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I would like for you to just kind of explain why or the story behind Lieutenant Murray, and then let her share her story after you do an intro for her, and just kind of who she is and what she is to the Ready to Launch program.
Well, all right. So this is phenom. Okay, but that's my word. She may have another. Oh, I'm so lucky. Here's my world. I've got a young student who just is graduating next week. He is an RNA DNP, and he heard, tell me, Lieutenant Murray, is your husband a lieutenant or he's a major?
He's a captain now, ma'am.
He's a captain. Okay, so Captain Neil Murray was one of my students at USUS. He heard I was doing this program because he was coming to class, and he said, my wife is looking to make this decision. Is it okay that she comes and joins your workshop? I'm like, absolutely, right? Bring her in. So was it 2 years ago, Melissa, or 3?
It'll be 3 years ago this summer, ma'am.
3 years ago. So you see, this takes planning, especially with my military officers, to really plan out those steps of when you're going to be able to go to school and how does that look. Good, smart doctoral choices and graduate choices take planning. It isn't just going to the Target and picking out a vacuum. So anyway, oh, I shouldn't be mentioning products. I apologize. Otis, you can wipe that out. So in comes Melissa with such energy and so much excitement that, you know, she's sharing this story. She's in this workshop. And then for the next 2 years, remember I said you can always find me. Boom, 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 boom. She's sending me emails and telling me about her journey and where she's looking and how it's moving forward. And, okay, I could cry. So on Monday, I get an email, and I think, or it was late last week, I don't know, but Monday was the very first day of our May 2021 cohort. It's actually the class of 2024. And they are coming to campus. We got the students back on campus this year. And Melissa, Lieutenant Murray, is walking through my office door to, you know, just share a huge smile and brighten my heart. So, Lieutenant Murray, please.
Oh, man, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm so excited to be part of this program, and entering my DNP was a huge decision. My husband was already in a DNP program, and so trying to figure out which one was the right one for us took a lot of guidance and a lot of direction. And before I took the Ready to Launch program, I had really no idea where to start, how to weed through the options and the opportunities. I didn't know where to go or how to get started on it. And your course, Dr. Taylor, gave me all the tools I needed, and I'm really proud to be here now.
So what we can see is that it takes time, and it's so vast, and sometimes you don't know who to ask. So and sometimes you get lucky, and you fall into you've got a contact, but when you don't, how can you approach a mentor? What does that look like? But either way, yes. Her husband brought her in, and we start from the very beginning in this workshop just by exploring what are the options. And that is a big, that takes 2-3 months to really climb through. It is murky. Is it an EDD? Is it a PhD? Is it an EDD? Is it a PhD of social work? Is it a DNP? Is that what I need? What's going to get me where I want to go? And there's so many choices that we need to give you some clarity on that. So it starts off just by let's figure out what those key differences are. And one thing that the program does, and I've done smaller little workshops for folks, and I get questions that are, well, you know, that advanced degree is not going to get me any more money, you know, so why would I do it? I'm just as happy doing this. And I'm like, yes, I'm glad to hear that. I'm here to tell you, I'm not selling doctoral education. I'm not selling a particular graduate program. What I'm here doing is helping you realize that you may not want to move forward. That's your choice, but you need to have an informed decision, just like all of our patients, right? I needed to have this procedure. There is an informed consent. So what the Ready to Launch program is offering is informed consent. And it's telling you and offering you the resources, as Lieutenant Murray said, to say, you know what? I want to make this decision and go for it. And I can start planning for AFIT or LFET now. Or guess what? This isn't the time for me. Doctoral education is going to take a huge amount of work. Graduate education is going to take a lot of dedicated time that I just am not confident I can manage right now. I've got, unwell parents or sick kids or multiple reasons that could be contributing to why this may not be the best time. And the concern there is that it's not a concern. How do I say this? It makes me as happy to know that I gave somebody the insight, or I didn't give, but I provided the opportunity to explore the knowledge and to explore what this decision is how it's going to impact you in your life. That if you've chosen and you realize, whoa, Dr. Taylor, hold the phone, right? I am not ready just yet. Oh, thank you. Come back when you think you are, because doctoral education, graduate school, it's going to be here. But what you don't want to do is move into a program and then realize you are over your head emotionally, physically, you're just stretched too thin and you have to drop out. And I'm here to say that one of the reasons that I even started this entire endeavor of Ready to Launch was because I read a very disheartening statistic that still to this day, 60% of those individuals who go in to a doctoral program will drop out or will fall out. I mean, that blows my mind, because for me, my doctoral education was the most enlightening, soul-inspiring, gratifying education I'd ever gotten. I'd been waiting for doctoral education since I was in high school, probably 8th grade. I need to be honest, okay? But I loved it. And it just makes me want to cry when I see such a statistic. So I was on a mission to say, I got to help these folks find that program that aligns to who they are, their spirit, their drive, so that they can get done and hopefully see what's on the other side of that degree, because it has just been everything for me. And so that is why I am so driven to make this decision and to build this program for nurses throughout the Army and all the services.
We can definitely see your passion, just shine through. And, we can tell that you're very invested in this program. And I think Otis is going to bring up a few comments that are coming in, because you have a few fans out there that are tuning in as well.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for the reminder there, Holly. Sometimes we get lost in just hearing the passion of, someone who really enjoys doing what they do. So thank you again, Dr. Taylor, for sharing those words. So here are some of the comments that we already have coming in. And I want to encourage all the viewers of today's discussion, send your comments, send your questions in. We've got a great panel here that could answer whatever questions that you have. Maybe you're interested in the program itself. So go ahead and send it on over and we will broadcast it on the screen, kind of like how we're broadcasting here. So the first one that comes up is from Jerry May, and she says, Dr. Taylor is amazing. Well, thank you very much for your comment there, Ms. Jerry May. We've got some more here, of course. Man, Dr. Taylor, you're popular out there. Ms. Angelyn Brown, she said, hi, Dr. Taylor, you're amazing. I think people really appreciate when someone is passionate about what they do and they share that passion onto others to inspire them to fulfill their passions or their dreams. And I think
Well, if I could, I don't know if Major Berkeley's on as well, but Major Brown and her team at Fort Bragg last year, their DNP project went on to win the American Association Colleges of Nursing DNP of the Year Award for 2021. And she led that team on battlefield auricular acupuncture and its impact on lower back pain in active duty soldiers. And it was tremendously tremendous outcomes. And it was one of the things I just have to tell you at the GSN, and I know that is that at the Graduate School of Nursing, we're all about team science. This was the very first team DNP scholarly work that had won that award. And that award's been given out now for at least 15 years. So yes, Major Brown, pretty much superstar herself. So I only take a little bit of credit for all the spectacular coming out of there.
There you go. There you go. Share the wealth. Share the wealth. We've got a good question coming in here.
Yeah, please.
From Mr. Patrick Young. Sorry. The question is, thanks for hosting this. He asks, do you think the ongoing COVID pandemic will have a lasting impact on your profession? Who'd like to jump into that?
I think he means that on the nursing profession as a whole, like maybe so Dr. Taylor, we would like to hear your perspective on this as you're working with the DNP students, because they're actually out there in the field working with patients. Myself and Captain Linson are recruiters right now. So, we're fortunate in the sense that, we've been able to work virtually. We work in an office setting. So how are the nurses that are out there in the field?
Well, Mr. Young, I like this question, and there's a lot of pieces. I'm going to focus on two, if I may. In terms of our students at the Graduate School of Nursing, the DNP students, they learned a lot of new skills in terms of management, and one of my DNP projects actually looks at surveillance of pandemics. That's how intense their work was. That was right down in, the grit of COVID. That was being done at Lejeune, and they were looking at surveillance, pandemic surveillance. And I'm going to stick to one topic, and because my career, sir, has really focused on technology, innovations, and education, where I'm going to think one of our major long-lasting impacts is on the field of telehealth. And what this year and all of the current students at the GSN are doing, and any nurse who's listening now, you can echo in, please. But the number of telehealth visits, what kind of skill does it take to create a trusting therapeutic relationship through a lens, right? And get the answers that you're looking for. Share a mutual trust and respect for that patient in order to be sure you're giving optimal care. So telehealth will not go away, nor should it. And one of the other things that telehealth has done is it has increased accessibility. So you can follow up a patient now. They don't have to take off from work. You give them a brand new blood pressure med, right? 2 weeks later, you want to check in because they've never been on a single med before, and you want to know how they're feeling. They don't have to take the morning off or the afternoon off and drive in. They can do a quick telehealth visit. You can share blood pressure logs, etc. And boom, it can enhance adherence with our patients. Now, I've got a very primary lens right now because I am a faculty in the family nurse practitioner and clinical nurse specialist program. And so it's a very primary care lens. But I think it has, in that way, it has positively impacted the care delivery options that are available. There's a lot more to that question, but I think I'll leave it at telehealth because that's my techno geek educational lens.
Thank you for that question, Mr. Young. And
yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you for answering it, of course, Professor Taylor. The next question that I see on our questions, and send on over the questions, y'all. We really appreciate your questions and comments. The next question that I see comes from a Brett Herbert. The question is, I completely agree with you, ma'am. USAGAPAN DNP in nursing anesthesia is the most rewarding but also incredibly challenging program I've ever been part of. I guess it's a comment more than a question. And I think this is compliments to those that are obviously want to be challenged, want to have the best training. So this is a kind of like a testimony of just how challenging the work is, but just how satisfying the student feels after the training is done.
So, sir, Brett, you're the USAGPAN Army RNAs. Always gotta beat you up a little bit because, you know, go Army, go USIS. We've actually got Colonel Budnich with us. He's our commandant, and I know he went to USAGPAN. But, you know, I love hearing that. You know, this is not easy work. Nobody said it was going to be easy, right? And what's that silly phrase? If it was easy, everybody would do it. And that's why you need to think very thoughtfully before you take this on. Talk to other students. Find a little network. Even if you go to school of choice, reach out. And that's one thing that the program does. And Melissa, you might remember, I give an entire list of questions that no matter what program you are looking at, you want to prosecute them. You want to get down to the granular and ask them key questions about their program and about the success of their program and about their graduates and what kind of work are they doing. And you want to really dig in there. So I'm going to ask Melissa, when you were looking at the different programs, I know you had such a passion to go service. What kinds of things were you thinking about, Lieutenant?
As far as what the program, what parts of the program I was curious about, is that what your question?
Yeah. What kinds of things did you really want to know when you were thinking about getting into that? Because, well, for example, I know that you wanted to be an RNA, but how to get those ICU hours and where you were going to do all that work. And was that a requirement, right, for the RNA programs?
Absolutely, ma'am. A big issue for me was trying to figure out what the clinical, what clinical aspect was. Not all schools have the same clinical requirement. And I really wanted an RNA program that was heavy in clinicals and very, a class that was very challenging, that had a lot to offer in diversity. And there were several schools that I looked at, and none were quite as diverse as what's offered at USU, with the additional classes that, are not exactly RNA specific, but the combination that we do with our other fellow nurse practitioners, as well as the classes that we do for austere medicine, really gave it an enhanced, benefit of being able to attend a school like this. And the other thing, yes, trying to get my ICU time. I'm an OR nurse by background. I have 13 years of OR experience, and I have 2 children. So trying to figure out how to time, when do I start school? What are my requirements? Do I have more classes that I need to take? Understanding what I needed to find when I'm looking at the schools, and where did I measure up, and where did I fall, and how can I make myself more competitive? Those are all things I definitely had to learn, and I wouldn't have learned any of that without the Ready to Launch program.
Thank you, Lieutenant. But Brett, I'm so glad you're finding it rewarding and just Oh, enriching to your heart, because it is hard. It's the hardest stuff you'll ever do. And um, it'll take you to a whole new place. And I'm really happy for you. I might have to call on you though, and you can be one of my mentors in my program. I got your name down here, Brett Herbert. I'm ready.
I know Brett Herbert's like, what's going on?
What have I done?
Well, Holly, I know you've got a question that you'd like to ask.
Yeah, absolutely, ma'am. So thank you so much. To be honest, you're kind of doing the interviewing for us. So it's been kind of awesome just being able to listen to you. You know, you could just, you're a great storyteller and very engaging. So we've appreciated all that you've shared with us thus far. But, you know, something that you were saying, I kind of want to ask the opposite of it. So you said, you know, you have to make sure that you find the exact right time to go to grad school. But what about the saying that there really is no good time, so you just have to do it? Because, you know, there's always going to be things going on in your life, such as, you know, if you go when your kids are young, you know, you're going to be busy because you're you know, you're focusing on feeding them and, you know, growing them as babies and such like that. But if you go when they're older, then they're going to be busy with sports, after school activities, you know, so life is busy no matter what stage you're in. It's just which kind of busy. So, you know, that's just kind of the opposite way of thinking. But what do you say to that?
I love it, is what I say. And here's what I do. As a faculty, we have to write and do scholarly works. So when we think about exactly what you mentioned, Captain Weaver, small children, parents, work, wellness, etc., we can also look at some of these things as barriers. And I have got a tool to the Ready to Launch workshop is a way to mitigate those barriers that we throw out that keep us from moving forward. Oh, well, I've got small kids. Who'll watch them? You don't need to watch them. They watch you do your homework, right? I've got an answer and the literature and the evidence that says little kids, they love to be a helper for you as you do things to make yourself feel, to promote yourself. They love seeing mom and dad move forward. They are strong and they are mighty. But I wrote an article, it's called Mitigating Barriers to Doctoral Education. And it essentially breaks down the most common barriers that nurses experience when they move forward for school. And you know what's happened in our profession is that we are, well, I could toss out a question, but this isn't class, right? I terrorize my classes. So, but here's a question, you know, School of Medicine, PT, social work, pharmacy, right? You know what the average length of time for those folks to get a doctorate degree is? If you said 6 to 7 years, you would be right. It takes them 6 to 7 years to earn a PhD or a doctoral degree, if that. Because now PharmDs don't even, there's not a single, you don't get a bachelor's in pharmacology or in pharmacy. You have to get a PharmD. It's all clinical doctorates. Do you know what the average length of time? I'm sorry, I get so excited. For nurses to earn that doctoral degree? 18 years. That's awful. That's why they're all older like me. I went back to school when I was 45. So now I'm 56 years old. What is that? Right? I need younger nurses to be jumping into the science of care delivery sooner. And that's what I'm about. It's not about me anymore and what I've got to get done. I got to make sure that you all come along and you can take care of me, okay, in the next 25 years. So, but that 18 years, that's a shame. It's a crime. And So one of the reasons this Ready to Launch program, you know what, it helps you say, you know what, you're a procrastinator. I've got students who are magnificent, and you know what, every day they'll come in and they'll have baked a ton of brownies for the whole class, or cupcakes, or they're procrastinators. I think that's hilarious. But time management, I don't have time. And I'm like, let me give you some tools to better explore and to better dissect exactly how you're spending your time. Okay. I don't have the resources. I don't have the finances, especially for folks considering civilian programs, or for my civilian counterparts. I don't have the finances. Well, I've got tools to help you think about a financial calculator. What will that look like? I've got resources for scholarships, right? I don't know how to write. I don't like the GREs. I've got tools. So I know just about every little tidbit people are going to throw out at me about not going back to school and why this isn't a good time. Okay. And I can help you think that through. And if it's after that, Captain Weaver, that after you've looked at and you've dug deep down and I love my phrase, my friend Mary Terhar up at Temple University says, prosecute that evidence, prosecute those resources, and I still am not able to know that this is a good time for me. There you go. But I don't take little excuses like I've got kids. I love kids. I had kids too. I can procreate, but this, no. That's not an excuse. They're a structural navigation. I can help you do it.
All right. Well, get us in line, Dr. Taylor.
Listen, ladies and Otis, I'm all over you guys. You're not going to be able to get rid of me now.
Well, I mean, it sounds like what you're offering, this is necessary for all of us, not just for doctorate life lessons that we all need to know.
Well, yeah, I did a webinar about 2 weeks ago on time hacks, optimizing your optimal time hacks for the busy nurse.
Let's hear a couple of them.
Yeah. Oh, let's see. You know what some of them are, and they seem so contradictory. Guess what? You need to structure your free time. You need to have a goal and purpose for your free time. So nobody says you can't binge, right? Falcon and the Winter Soldier, done it. Okay, nobody says you can't do that. What they say, though, is you put a control limit on it, because then you feel better about the fact that, all right, I did spend 45 minutes and now I'm going back to said activity. I am going to, everybody knows who's online now, I love shoes. End of story. I'm a shoe fanatic. And sometimes I want to just set aside time to shop for shoes. But if I'm not careful, it could be a 45-minute adventure. And I have lost myself, and I am down at Barney's or someplace at $2,000 shoes that I will never buy. And I have lost in 45 minutes or an hour. And then the problem with that is that nurses tend to be like, oh, and then we get down on ourselves. How did I spend an hour shopping for shoes? And, I could have been doing all this other stuff. So the science says if you're going to spend some free time, structure it. I'm going to take a walk in the next hour, and I want to feel good about that walk. And then when you get back, you're like, I took a walk that hour. It's very positive. It's invigorating, and it allows you then to also put some limits on some of that real free time, like binging The Wire. That has been one of my favorites. Okay. Idris Elba and Omar. I cannot get enough. So I'm sorry. I shouldn't say these commercial things. I apologize. But if you're not careful, you're watching 6 episodes. And then you're like, and then you feel bad. And then you beat yourself up. So when you structure your free time, you feel more positive at the end of it, that you feel good, like you accomplished something in that free time, and you were able to stick to your purpose and how you wanted to use that free time. So that's one of my favorites, because I think it's a juxtapose. It's free time. Is it though?
So it sounds like what I hear you saying is that the same way that we were taught in nursing school to spend 45 minutes studying, 15-minute breaks, 45 minutes studying, 15-minute breaks, so we don't overwhelm ourselves, we need to take that same thought process and use that also for our free time, essentially, and kind of dally our time out.
Yeah, because Facebook is a black hole, right? I mean, you could go down, it's like the Ethernet. You could be on there looking at friends you didn't even know you had from 26 years ago, right? And why? And then you didn't study, or then you didn't pay your bills, or then you didn't take care of the dog, or whatever you thought you were supposed to do, because you were kind of circling in the murkiness of some social media. That's one of the biggest time sucks that we have.
Absolutely, ma'am. I 100% agree. And if you want to really know how bad you are, you can look at the analytics on your screen time. And
yes.
Unless you want to feel worse about yourself, I don't recommend it.
No. And actually, one of the things they say to do is don't use your phone as an app or a measure. Buy a little like a little timer. And I've got a really cute little Apple spin timer, right? And I set it. So when I know I want to just lollygag and look for necklaces or jewels or, whatever, I will set the timer, because it can be exhausting. And then being on that screen is exhausting. And you don't realize that while you're in the thick of it. You kind of get mesmerized, right? And hypnotized. But you're right. Good call. It's just like making sure you balance out your study time.
I will say on the opposite end of that, and then one thing, and then I want to ask Lieutenant Murray a question, but instead of setting a timer, when I don't want to be on my phone because I want to be productive, such as working on graduate homework, I put my phone in a locked container, like a safe. And, it's like I still have my watch if someone was to call and it was an emergency or something like that. But just having it away, and even if it's not locked, just put away, it's helpful to, not just pick up your phone anytime someone texts you, because that you could be in the middle of something and then it just totally, you just get totally distracted. But I'd like to hear a little bit more from Lieutenant Murray, because our hour is really starting to wind down, and I'd really like to hear just more about like where you're at in your career. How has the Ready to Launch program helped you? And, what are some of your tips for those nurses out there that are, starting graduate school and stuff like that?
Well, thank you so much for asking those questions. So in my career, I am just starting my doctorate in nursing anesthesia at the Uniformed Services University. I knew that was a school that I wanted to go to. My husband is graduating from the same program, so I'm really fortunate to be able to be part of that as well. I'm a direct accession, so I'm coming from the civilian sector directly into the military this way, so that's been an interesting journey for me. I really like the duality of being a naval officer and also a nurse, and I'm really excited to do this as a student. As far as some of the things I've gotten from the Ready to Launch program, organizing what my application was going to look like, figuring out how to make that application, figuring out exactly what program I wanted to go to, were some really key points. And the mentorship that Dr. Taylor talked about was a huge benefit to the program. Having somebody that I could call and talk to, or send a message to and say, hey, I've gotten this essay I just wrote, can you look at it for me? Can you give me feedback on it? Because it's very competitive. The schools and the programs, there's so many applicants. There's so many people trying to get in. And so trying to figure out how do you make yourself stand out. That wasn't something I knew or thought about exactly how to do. And Dr. Taylor really gave me a lot of mentorship in helping to make my applications shine, and then helping me along the way as I went through interview processes, getting ready for interviews. Those weren't things I thought about before. So tips that I have as far as for nurses who are looking to go back to school, definitely I like everything that everybody's saying about don't go just to go. Know exactly what you want to get into, and having a passion for it is really important. I love the operating room. That's my passion and my specialty. I enjoyed critical care nursing, but it was an avenue for me, to be honest, because I knew I wanted to be at the head of the bed in the OR, learning anesthesia. So know exactly what you want to do. It's not for everyone. The responsibilities, the weight, the challenge, the requirement and the demand of your time, it's not for everybody. And there are definitely different programs that allow you to reach whatever your personal goals are, whether it's in family nurse practice, whether it's in gerontology, nurse practitioners working in critical care units. There's some fantastic opportunities out there. And I would say, look, do your research, do your homework, because there's so many incredible ways that you can succeed with your goals. And, definitely consider taking her Dr. Taylor's class, because she gave me so many tips and so many important cues about how to apply for all programs, not the military one specific, but civilian programs. How do you get funding? How do you set yourself apart, and how do you take that next step? And you're right, there's not always going to be an ideal time to go back to school. It is a big undertaking, but having the support of your family and having those discussions with your family is really important. For us, it was talking with my children, making sure that they knew this is something that I was doing, and it meant I had less time to spend with them as they're in their late teen years, graduating high school, going to college themselves. So having that discussion as a family, knowing what to expect from me and what I expect from them, and setting reasonable boundaries for time management is huge. Knowing when it's my study time and when it's my personal time. When am I going to be with the family? Letting my family know, when are you going to hear from me? So those kind of help set me up so that I know when I'm engaged in my classes, I can be successful in them.
Absolutely. That was really great. Thank you so much for sharing. It was really awesome for us to be able to hear your background and just your experience with the Ready to Launch program. And I actually had an idea that, I have no power to do, but I think it's a good idea. And I'm sure Captain Linson would agree with me. As we had the CNTP program when we first come in as an Army nurse, the Ready to Launch should be something that, the nurses are going through when they're at the Captain's Career Course, because when you're at Captain's Career Course, you're a first lieutenant or a captain, and you're not quite at the point to where you would be applying for LSAT potentially. And so, that would be actually at the Captain's Career Course, they're requiring all of the officers to take the GRE now. So they're preparing them for the potential of grad school by having them take the GRE. So this seems like it would fit right in that course line. And I know that, it would have great benefit, as, we've discussed, Captain Linson and I think that we would benefit from it. So I'm sure others would as well.
Absolutely.
I completely agree with that. Sorry, Otis. Yeah, I completely agree. I think that would be a really good transition, especially during that time, because, you're trying to figure out, am I going to do this program? Am I going to do LSAT? Am I going to pay out of pocket? Am I going to use TA? So there's so many options and so many things that you have to use. And, is one going into command before I do this? Do I want to do this after command, during command, before command? So yes, I do think that's very critical, like you were talking about, Captain Weaver, during Captain's Career Course, so that we can start to think about it, like you were saying earlier, Dr. Taylor, that planning takes time. And so we can't just go out there and pick something. So I think that's really an important part that you brought up as well.
Excellent, excellent. So I don't mean to kind of shut off our awesome conversation that we've got going on, but we're kind of close to the end of our, our time slot. And I see two more comments actually coming up. And then of course, I'll give some closing comments, of course. The first comment that I see coming up is thanks for the response. Here at Wynn Army Community Hospital, telehealth appointments have made a difference. I hope it continues, and I hope that the emphasis of that option is built into the education program. Isn't Wynn Hospital down there at Fort Gordon, I believe?
I think that's in Fort Stewart, actually.
Fort Stewart? Okay.
Yep, Fort Gordon is Eisenhower.
Yep, you got it. You got it. Thank you, ma'am. So thank you for your comment there, Mr. Young. And so we've got one more last comment here. Awesome job, Dr. Taylor. Great discussion. And I agree fully that this has been a great discussion amongst all five of us. Dr. Taylor, we really appreciate you coming and just sharing, wealth of knowledge, wealth of motivation. I hope someone absorbs that motivation that you put out there and feel inspired to, possibly be the next Dr. Taylor or even better.
Well, thank you, Otis. I appreciate that. But honest, I think when I see Lieutenant Murray making such a huge decision and life-changing career choice and being so positive about it, it just is so inspiring for me as well to keep going and keep doing this great work. So Lieutenant Murray, I am so happy you're at our program. And Major Murray, have a good graduation if you're watching, sir. And congratulations. And hey, team, I am really grateful for being on the show today. Thank you.
Absolutely, ma'am. Thank you. And Lieutenant Murray, of course, thank you for coming and just talking with us and sharing your experience, sharing your story. Hopefully it inspires someone to do exactly what you did and let people know that, hey, you're not really limited only by the things that you put limits to. And so I think your messaging, your story has been very inspirational as well.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate you guys having me on, Captain Weaver and Captain Linson. And Dr. Taylor, of course, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for giving me a chance to talk with you guys today.
Oh, yeah, no problem. No problem. And so Captain Weaver and Captain Linson, do you have any last comments?
I would just like to say thank you so much for everyone that's out there viewing this. And thank you, Dr. Taylor and Lieutenant Murray, for joining us. This has been a fantastic hour. You've definitely given me some things to think about. And I just want to say that our live stream was successful because we already had someone text me asking, saying that they're interested in the Ready to Launch program and are asking to be linked up with you. So we will get you connected. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, folks. And Captain Linson, Captain Weaver, good luck in school. If I can be of any assistance, do not hesitate to find me.
I will absolutely do that.
All righty. And so thank you, y'all. I'll go ahead and I'll give our closing comments. So another awesome opportunity there to talk to all four of my guests there, my two co-hosts, of course. If you're looking for more information about the Get Ready to Launch program, there is Captain Weaver's information on the bottom there. Reach out to her and she will put you in the right point of direction. And of course, as we always say here in live stream land here in Army Medicine, Army Medicine is Army strong. Take care, y'all.